Sega.
Zaxxon is a 1982 space shoot-'em-up viewed from a unique isometric angle with the ability to change the height of your ship in order to avoid walls and bad guys. You fly through fortresses and space, shooting everything you can. We'll start by looking at the 1982 arcade original running on bespoke Sega Zaxxon hardware. I'll be using the MAME emulator for this. Then we'll compare to the PC booter port from 1984, converted by Sega themselves. I'll be running this one in DOSBox. The arcade version came out in 1982 to some rave reviews, and was very successful. It was also the very first arcade game to have a TV commercial produced. The game's attack sequence consists of high score tables followed by some demo gameplay, which is then interrupted by the drawing of the game's name. The intro then carries on showing you various sequences from the game in silence. The game begins with your ship entering the first fortress. Here you have to duck and dive, shooting everything. The most important thing to destroy are the large red storage containers, as shooting them replenishes your fuel. If your fuel runs out, you lose a life. Also, if you remain too high up, then a large player-seeking missile will fly in to destroy you. Partway through each level, you leave the fortress and fly through space, shooting at enemy jets. This part is made harder because you have no shadow to gauge your height, just the altimeter on the left. You can tell you're lined up on an enemy jet though, as a small crosshairs icon will briefly appear in front of your ship. After the space stage, it's into another fortress, and at the end of this one is a large Zaxxon robot who fires more player-seeking missiles at you. However, if you shoot the missile several times before it's launched, then the robot will explode, but it's not easy. If the robot runs out of missiles, it'll escape and you'll get a lower end of level bonus than if you destroy it. You then start another level, which is a bit more tricky than the first one. Oh, and the space jets are now a different colour. Anyway, sit back and watch me play through the first level of the game. The PC booter port was handled by Sega themselves and was released in 1984. There's no intro sequence or demo on the PC port, just the game's name and a prompt to play a 1 or 2 player game. It'll also initially ask you if you want to play with keyboard or joystick. I'm using joystick in this video as the keyboard requires you to keep tapping keys. The game sports basic 4-colour CGA graphics with much less stage detail than the arcade. Sound-wise, the standard DOS version has basic bleep chip sound, which can be a bit grating. However, if you were lucky enough to have a PCjr computer, then it actually sounded like this. The game also has no frame rate limiter, meaning if you run it on a newer computer or DOSBox is set up too quick, then the game will play way too fast. One key difference here is that the player-seeking missiles are much less easy to destroy or avoid than the arcade original. This version also contains a space stage, but it's even more bland than the fortress sections, with not even any stars in the background. The Zaxxon robot is way bigger than the arcade version, but doesn't move around at all. Its missiles also seem much harder to avoid. Now, watch me play this version. I'll alternate between the standard DOS bleep chip version and the PCjr version with improved sound. Let's compare each version at the pixel level. First of all, here's the 1982 arcade version at the start of the first level. Now I'll wipe across to the PC Booter version, and there's no way you'll get these two versions mixed up. The PC Booter version does contain the same basic scenery elements, but there's much less detail and the level layout is completely different. Let's compare the three main sections: the first fortress, flying in space, and fighting the Zaxxon robot. Zaxxon is an unusual and quite difficult game, even the original arcade version. It was successful at the time, but now seems quite awkward to play, with it being pretty hard to line up shots correctly. The PC Booter version tries valiantly to replicate the arcade original, but only comes semi-close, whilst being even more difficult. If you like this look at Zaxxon, then hit the like button. If you want to find out when the next video is available, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.